All right, it's time for the Tom Lacey Sports Show on Hometown Radio, WIRY. Here's your host, Tom Lacey.
Good morning, everyone. And I'd like to, first of all, thank the entire staff at Wiry for letting me, talk about my father. There's not too many stations that would allow you to do that. But if you knew my father, he kind of was a celebrity, and he played sports, too. He was a swimmer. As we all know, he swam 5,000 miles at the YMCA. He was a boxer. He boxed in the Army. He was 5-0. And outside the ring, I think he was 7-0. I saw one of them, by the way. But I'd like to start out by playing one of his pranks, which he was 70 years old, and he was pranking the college right during election time, the college radio station. So here we go. Listen to this, and you might laugh.
And let's see what this person has to say. Good evening. You're on Thursday Night Line.
Yes, voting.
Okay. Who would you like to vote for?
How about Homer Gatto?
Homer Gatto. I don't think that he's an announced candidate. Do you have a vote for either Walter Mondale or Ronald Reagan?
How about Homer Gatto?
Homer Gatto. Okay, I'll put it down as a write-in only because he's a former.
Okay. that was his typical, the way he was all the time. And he really didn't care. I'm going to sneak in this one. And only because my father's youngest granddaughter, he loved her and he got to meet her, and this is what she said one time.
Daddy, there's a tornado watch, so be careful when you come back home. Vividly. Really, 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 really careful, okay? Okay, bye, love you.
So, yeah, that's how we'll start off the show. And the reason I put that on there, because my father loved every single one of his grandchildren, everyone equally so. But I thought I'd sneak that in there. Let's talk about my father, okay? Obviously, there's a lot of funny stories about him. And I'll try to make them, some of them, as we all know, are rated R, but they're not going to be rated R on here. I'll tone it down to PG the best I can. Definitely, without a doubt, PG. Maybe PG plus if it's allowed, but here we go. My father's name was Wilfred, and everyone called him Red. He was the third oldest of 8 kids. He had brothers Tom and Leo. They all slept in the same bed in Brooklyn, and in Borough Park area. And Tom and Leo, which I'm named after, my name is Thomas Leo Lacey, they both wanted to be priests. My father's theory in life was a little different than that. He said, everyone's got a little larceny in their hearts, and he told them that. And they both said that he hung out with the wrong crowd on Coney Island. So, both Tom and Leo, they're great guys. They lived for a long time, too. My father passed away at 92. And let's get way before that. He made it. He went as far. He went to 5th grade. That's when he quit school, and that's when he started hanging around with the wrong crowd in Brooklyn. He did tell me that he went to college. He went through college at Fordham, and he told me that he went through the front door and right out the back. So he really said that he went to the School of Hard Knocks. So, and the School of Hard Knocks, as we all know, is probably tougher than regular school. He joined the Army at age 17, and unfortunately he got caught. He was taking penicillin off a Navy ship in Brooklyn Naval Yard, and unfortunately he went to the brig, which I think was at Coxsackie, which was a federal facility. He saw officers crying all the time because they were going to probably get dishonorable discharges, and so they came to my father and they said, you have a choice here. You can either get a dishonorable discharge or you're going to be on the front lines in Germany. And my father chose front lines in Germany. I think who wouldn't, really? So he ended up joining the Army, and within 10 days, the entire platoon was captured in Germany, and they're marching them all to the camp. And him and this other guy decided, maybe they might end up dying at this camp. So they ended up serpentining into the woods, got shot at, and he was missing in action. And hold on here. Can I take the phone call? Okay, I had a phone call. I'll get that later. So he was missing in action for 1 month, and he ended up somehow in Italy, which Mussolini was in charge, and he didn't have his uniform on, so he survived, and he found the Americans, and he ended up going back. So we have a phone call from someone that just tried my cell phone. We'll see what happens there. We'll take all phone calls, even if we're right in the middle of one of my stories. So that person that was just calling my cell phone, please call back wiry, okay? All right. Okay, who do we got here? Okay, who do we got?
Hello.
Yes.
Good morning. Is this wiry?
Yes.
So I have a question for you. Do you guys still do the police blotter type thing?
Oh, you got the wrong show. So call back in maybe an hour. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Let him call back. Okay. So a couple stories that I have. The first one is something that happened in Vermont, and we went to see our niece's basketball game. She played for St. Rose, and after the game, we decided to go to a place called Riraz. It was an Irish pub. So for some reason, I went through a stop sign. I got stopped. I was with Dave Baruti as well. My father was in the back seat, and I got stopped by the police, and they don't like New Yorkers over there sometimes, so I knew I was in trouble. So I told my father, please pretend that you're sick or something so I can get out of this, and sure enough, I said my father's really sick, and he put on an act, and he was moaning, and we got a police escort right to the hospital, and actually the police waited till he had to get in the stretcher, and he did. Once the police left, he got out of the stretcher, he said, I'm okay, and we left. So that's typical Red Lacey. Another story is he'd go to this place called the Red Lion. I'm sure people remember that. And before he went into the Red Lion, he would go into P&C. I'm sure everyone remembers P&C. And then we ended up, he ended up, every time he'd go into P&C, he'd open up a can of peanuts, he'd put them in his pocket, and he'd go back to, okay, we got another, okay, I'll finish that story. Okay, who do we got here? Hello? Who do we got?
You're on the Tom Lacey Sports Show. Go ahead.
Oh. Well, Tommy's talking right now.
Yeah, okay, what do you got? Joe Perselli, what do you got? Gonna talk about my father, right?
Yes, I want to talk about one of the characters of all time that I've met in my life, yes.
Okay.
Red Lacey.
Okay.
So, I met Red at the Plattsburgh Air Force Base in the summer of 1978. I was 20 years old and going to Plattsburgh State. So my dad was a military man, an Army guy too, so I went in there and I saw this guy hitting the heavy bag. And an Elvis Presley song, Jailhouse Rock, came on, and then I heard him talking to other gym members, the other Air Force guys that were working out of the gym, saying, Yeah, I met Elvis in Brooklyn, before he got shipped off to Germany. He was in the naval yard there. He was an okay guy, down to earth, and that's when I went over to him and said, "Oh, yeah, you've met Elvis? I'm a big Elvis fan, and my dad was in the Army, too." And that's how we struck our friendship. And
it's pretty good.
Then when our friendship started, and we just talked about military history,
Yep.
the different countries that he's traveled to and everything that I've traveled to. My dad was a 20-year man and got the Bronze Star in Vietnam. So we had a lot of common interest. But the biggest thing really was he just was a fitness nut.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was, always going in his routine, hitting the heavy bag and swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in, the fitness business on and off over the years, and still work out a lot. And Red was just one of those guys that was just wind him up, and you could never stop going. Ever ready, better. What do they call it? Ever ready battery.
Yep. I have to finish another.
That's our friendship, us, and that's what we always talked about: fitness, military history, Elvis, music. That type of thing like that.
Yeah.
And
He could. I have a story I have to finish, Joe.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks for calling. He would really appreciate it. You know that.
I know.
Okay.
And he's just
right.
one of those characters that you'll never forget, Tommy. All right, buddy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I want to finish that PNC story. So he'd take the peanuts out of the PNC of the jar. He'd put the jar back, go into Red Lion, eat his peanuts. And one day they had him on camera. They all came up to him, said, "Red, you can't do that anymore." And he said, "All right, I won't do it anymore." But a week later, back doing it. So that was my father. I have another pretty funny story involving Mr. Bob Garrow. When Tom Curl was a head coach at Plattsburgh State, my father would always come to the games because he loved Tom. Tom was our roommate and stuff, and so my father didn't have anywhere to sit, so he sees Mr. Garrow, and Mr. Garrow was sitting with the president of the college, and Mr. Garrow was going, "Please, Red, please don't sit next to me," because my father sometimes doesn't hold back what he says. And sure enough, my father sat next to Mr. Garrow, and I guess the president of the college really got a charge out of him and really liked him a lot because, again, he didn't hold back. Another story, one time, my father, when he lived with us on 16 Marcy Lane, and I do have to give my ex-wife props and admire her for letting my father stay with us, until his death at 92. But he had his own routine, and he would eat steak. He'd have his headphones on, watching TV, and he would eat his steak, bring it back. He put a whole bunch of olive oil on his steaks and stuff. So what he'd do is, if he had fat in his mouth, he'd shove it underneath the couch. And he got caught this time by my ex-wife, and she said, "All right." She just said, "Red, what are you doing?" And he said, "What are you, the Board of Health?" with his Brooklyn accent, and so that's the way he was. But it was kind of funny. Another thing, when he was at the NCO club, I'd have to go pick him up because I didn't want him to drive. And he'd always introduce me. He said, "Red, come on over here." And I'd go over, and he'd be talking to some woman, and he'd always say, "Hey, Tommy, this girl likes you here." And, it just embarrassed me. And that's the way he was. In fact, I did have a date there at the NCO club. They had 2-for-1 ribeyes. Can't beat that at the NCO club. So, and by all means, take this the right way. The girlfriend, or it wasn't my girlfriend, my date, her name was Thea Brodus. She was a black girl, very pretty, very nice. We're still friends today. And my father comes in, and he doesn't hold back at all, just the way he is, and he's not racist at all. And he just said, "Salt and pepper, your salt and you're Peppa. And Thea was just laughing so hard about that. She loved it, because he really didn't hold back, My father almost swam 5,000 miles. I finished the last 100 for him. And before his death, he was in the YMCA trying to swim, age 92. He was trying to swim, and then when he came back, he just said, take me to the hospital, and he wasn't doing good at all. The ambulance came to get him, and he had a doctor named Dr. Fedorowski, and he's had him forever, and he used to mess with Dr. Fedorowski because my father was in the war, and he'd call Dr. Fedorowski University of Warsaw, and I don't think Dr. Fedorowski really liked that, but he didn't mean anything by it. My father loved everyone, his entire family, and there was another instance where there was I'm not going to explain what a session was. It was just more or less family getting together. And one of my brother-in-laws, he actually did some contracting work, but he couldn't read a ruler. And my ex-wife is helping him with, this is a fourth, this is an eighth, this, and he'd say, oh, you have to start over. You have to start over. He just understand the ruler. So my father kicks in and starts messing with him, and that was really, really funny. He met my mother, believe it or not. They walked by each other, and it's all he said was, "Would you like to have a beer?" That was his opening line to her. And 9 kids later, yep, they definitely had their beer. And what I loved about it was in their later years, in the last 6 months of her life, their life, or my mother's life, they would go for walks, hold hands, all forgiveness. Everything that happened in life was forgiven like it should be. And I love that. It's very similar to Jillian Duda, who I admire, when her husband John proposed to her, actually, while Jillian was in a wheelchair. So I find it very similar to that. Another story, my father and I went to Brooklyn, and my father said, he wanted to show me where he lived in Brooklyn. So we're in Brooklyn. He said, don't talk to anyone. Don't say anything. And of course I break that rule right away. Just to mess with him, I'm asking everyone questions, and he's just shaking his head. And so he'd tell me the stories of growing up in Brooklyn, that he'd hop on the subways and do other things. But we came to his house, and he said, there's my house. I said, why don't we go in? He goes, no, we're not going in there. And I knock on the door. They let us go in. My father actually had a tear in his eye. He showed me his bedroom, and they were kind of a modest living. Mr. Lacey, my grandfather, had a pretty good job. My grandmother, unfortunately, she hit her head on an iron board and had an aneurysm and died. And on the way to the one of the wars, or my father had to take a ship, I know that. And while he was taking a ship to Germany, his father passed away right in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing my father could do about it. He couldn't go back. They wouldn't let him go back. So those are some things that. But every year he puts a rose on my mother's grave. He did until he passed away. Oh, one last story on him, and before I'm going to start reading stuff from friends and relatives, and hopefully we get some phone calls. My father was in ICU. He was at the NCO club. He claimed someone put vodka in his beer. He fell off the bar stool. They took him to the hospital, and while he was in the hospital, Dan Stewart was running against Clyde Rabideau for mayor. And Dan, who my father knew very well, and he knew Clyde very well, he brought an absentee ballot because the election was like in 4 or 5 days. So he hands my father the absentee ballot, and when Dan left, my father ended up voting for Clyde. He put Clyde's name on the absentee ballot. So he didn't care, He just, in fact, I think Dan won by 16 votes in all. Okay, I'm going to start reading some of the stuff from text messages and emails. And this is from his granddaughter, Marla, who actually was an intelligence officer, went to Desert Storm. And she just says, "Happy 111th birthday in heaven, Grandpa." I remember when he would visit, she was active duty. And once when I was at Seymour Johnson AFB in Goldsboro, North Carolina, he called while I was working and said, "Pick me up at the Officers Club," which my father wasn't an officer, but it didn't stop him from going at all. And she said she sure does miss him. And this is from Leo Ryan. I think Leo lived with us. And something about your dad. He was funny and lived life to the fullest, always having fun, but he did have a serious side. When it was a time to show up and look and act and professional, he was dressed, shoes shined, tie tied, took pride in that along with his chamber ballroom dancing. He was very serious about that and his swimming. I never met anyone that didn't like him and enjoyed his company. When he had a few too many, well, everyone does, he would always send me to Burger King for a Mountain Dew and French fries. One more, he hated fish, and I found out the hard way because I made fish for him, and he did not like it at all. And that was nice of Leah to do that. So we have another one. And this is from Tom Curl, who also lived with us. And Tom and my father were really tight. And what Tom wanted, he didn't have a lot of time. Tom didn't. He has a lot of other things going on. But he just said to tell about the PNC thing, about his snack, and he admired Red for serving our country and the fun times that we had throughout the years. This is from Gary Finney. This is what I can say about your father. This is from Gary. He'd be real proud of everything that you're doing for the community and with basketball camps. He said that. He really never left. He was always right by your side. He's been swimming with you all this time in the lake because I've been swimming in the lake. He wasn't funny to be funny. He was just funny being himself. And you know what? That is true if you knew my father. Let's see. Okay, I got another one from, I think it was from Dan Reamer. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. Yeah, this is from Dan Reamer, his son-in-law. I have many funny stories about Red. This is a good one, though. He told to me, by Marla, the Air Force had its own full system called Autovon. They had an extension at the Plattsburgh NCO Club. I don't think that Red would walk by the phone without calling someone located another at Air Force Base. Basically free long-distance calls, and back then it wasn't free. Marla was attending training to become an intelligence officer. They're in the middle of class. Someone from the office interrupts class to let the instructor know that Marla had a call from Colonel Lacey. She goes to the office to take the call and proceeds to chew out the colonel. Happy birthday, Red. You're one of a kind. Tom, best of luck in the marathon. So that's from Dan Reamer, who actually was in the Air Force. And this is from his daughter-in-law, Helen Richelieu. I'm sorry. His granddaughter. I'm sorry. I have many stories about Red, both sad and funny, which can't be aired over the show, and she knows that. But as one of many of his grandkids, I feel lucky to have shared some special moments with him. One late afternoon, it was just him and I at McKinley Avenue House, and it was dinner time. Red cooked us a great meal of ribeye steaks and sliced tomatoes seasoned with salt and pepper. A simple, loving meal. When in Plattsburgh, I'd ride along with him to his favorite places. He was a driver, and he didn't stop for most of the stop signs. He'd hit the OTB to bet on his horses and over to the French Connection. I witnessed Red and his girlfriend ballroom dancing to Frank Sinatra's He Did It My Way. And it was just amazing to watch. When Red visited us in Florida, I'd pick him up from the VFW or the Unshoot Club, where we'd enjoy one more beer before we going home. My dad would watch us like a hawk when we got home a little tipsy. Also in Florida, he'd go to Mass with us, which is pretty neat. One time he put a light beige dress shirt over one of his favorite T-shirts. You know, Red and his funny T-shirts. Well, I followed him in line to receive communion. You could clearly read the back of his T-shirt, his undershirt, his dress shirt. The language in the T-shirt was not appropriate for Mass, and it was hard not to laugh because I'm sure everyone behind us in church could read his shirt. He once gave me one of his special T-shirts. It read, "God made the Irish number one." And one last thing, Red traveled all the way to the Philippines to help out my parents with a certain situation. He was truly fearless, full of life, and family was just unconditional. So that's more or less the story of my father. Before Plattsburgh Air Force Base was an Air Force base, it was an Army base, and that's where he trained. And he did revelry in the morning, and he sometimes he'd tell me when he'd do revelry, he'd just revelry, he would just be getting in, and wouldn't be even hadn't slept yet. So that was him. He just loved life, and the fact that he swam every day. Although he says he swam 5,000, sometimes he might have taken a couple of shortcuts on those swimming adventures. He went to the Peabody's business lunch a lot, and he couldn't hear that well. I knew that, and some of my friends would instigate him, just because he spoke so loud. And of course they wanted him to just talk about anything, and he did. And the patrons in there were, some were, they were kind of laughing and stuff, but some didn't really like it too much. But that was my father, So, but 111 years old today, and not too many people live, 111 years. He passed away at 92, and he lived a full life. He probably could have lived longer, but he was ready to go. And like I said, he's probably listening right now in heaven, and I think he did at least a 3-month stay in purgatory. Everyone knows what purgatory is. So he was something else, and I admire him, and he's definitely one of my favorites. Or actually, I love him to death, and we all talk about him still to this day. There's always Red Lacey stories floating around, and it's pretty funny. And sorry. Let me shut this off here somehow. Well, let's play it again. Okay.
I don't think that he's an announced candidate.
Okay, I got it off. Yeah, that's my father. Voting time. He loved it. Okay, Bob Emery just tried to call in. Bob, if you're listening, try again. Okay, 518-563-1340. If you're listening, try right now. I'm sure you'll have some good stories. I think he helped you land a couple of recruits, I think, or you might have lost some recruits. But because he would visit you just about every day, and I think he did the same to Coach Moffitt as well. So let's see. I'm going to try to can I call Bob? Can I push it? Or does Bob have to call here? Okay. Oh, he just Bob wrote something. I'm gonna read it. Okay, he's not gonna call in. And I visited with Red Lacey almost every day. I was in town for years. It became a ritual. He would stop in while he was walking his dog Aggie. He would be an understatement to say that Red was a very unique guy. What I liked most about him was he was very loyal and displayed a great heart to the people he liked. If he didn't like you, that was another story. How did I know he had great loyalty and a great heart? I tested him one day and said something bad about a mutual friend of his and he didn't know that such person was a friend of mine as well. Wow, did he jump down on my throat? That's all I need to know. 2 great attributes, loyalty with great heart. And what Bob and I wanted to do one time is get a 6-pack, go by my father's grave, and drink. I can't even remember what his favorite beer was, and just talk about him. It's in St. Peter's, so. But I do definitely appreciate the fact that Wiry is letting me talk about my father, and there's not too many place or people that would let me do that, and mainly because it's his 111th birthday, and it's sincerely appreciated. So some of the other things that are going on, if we don't have any phone calls coming up at all, but if not, that's fine. Let's see. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna try calling. I'm gonna call him a little early, and we'll talk. Is Logan Bush? He's waiting for my phone call, I believe, and let me call him. There's a surprise about him, and I think you guys are going to be very happy when you hear it. And let's see. I'll find that number. Okay, there it is. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Oh, no, I can't do it. Okay. I'll have to give you the number. Oh, we're going to take a break.
We'll take a break, and when we come right back, we'll try to get that for you, folks. So keep it right here. It's the Tom Lacey Sports Show on Hometown Radio, WIRY.
At Facette Realty, our phones are ringing off the hook. Buyers are
usually when Suniac plays, they have a Friday, and a Saturday game. So that's not taking place anymore. It's just one game.
Our games are Wednesdays and Saturdays for the most part.
I like that. Okay, we're going to talk about something very special. And before I get into it, Logan attended Schroon Lake High School. He lives in Newcomb. And how long of a drive from Newcomb to is it Schroon Lake? I always say it on purpose, by the way.
I went to Newcomb High School. We just played Schroon Lake.
I didn't know that. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up for me. But if everyone knows, Logan, I believe, is the second leading scorer in New York State. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, and he missed, I believe, how many games did you miss when COVID came out? The whole year?
Yeah, we missed one year of sports.
Wow. Nolan Ryan from Shazy is the New York State record holder, and if COVID didn't hit, it would be Logan Bush, without a doubt. And I watched him play basketball. I never have seen you play soccer. Are you guys playing at Plattsburgh, or do you do a home and home with them, or did you already play them?
Yeah, we play them. I'm not sure what day it is, but I think we play them here this year.
Oh, okay. I thought it used to be home and home, but not anymore. Maybe I can make that trip. I'd love to see you play. And I'm not sure. I haven't been to a Plattsburgh game because I've been pretty busy, Plattsburgh State game. I used to actually officiate their games, and even being my alma mater, I probably shouldn't have been doing them, but that's the way it goes. So, okay, here's the big news. Logan got his first goal. And let's explain how that happened, the entire process of what happened. I know you started, which is great, which is unbelievable, a freshman starting. And it was your first start. And how did the goal occur?
Well, they kind of miscleared it after like a goal kick, and then our left back came down the sideline, crossed it in. Another defender miscleared it, and it just kind of like popped up at my feet. And at that point, I was only a couple feet from the goal, so all I had to do was tap it in.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. One of the referees was at the game, and he said that you were offsides and it shouldn't have counted. He's just kidding. He's kidding, by the way. He didn't really say that. So, who is the coach at Potsdam? I kind of forget. Oh, Parker, Coach Parker,
Yeah.
right? Yes,
Yeah.
Very good guy. I used to ref when he was there, and I used to referee when your athletic director, I forgot his name. He played at Plattsburgh State, by the way, your athletic director, and he coached for a while, and Misick or something like that. Or,
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep, very good player too, and excellent. He was coach at Potsdam for a little while. So that is great. I'm hoping you get a goal against Cortland, but I know they have a great defense. So
Yeah.
Are they going to start you again?
Yeah, I'll be starting again today.
Nice. That's good news. Are you one of the fastest on the team, or the fastest?
Yeah, I'd probably say so.
Uh-huh.
I haven't really been to many teams where there's been people faster than me.
I'm sure of that, yeah. Believe it or not, I've officiated a Scroon Lake modified game because of my disability. I can't officiate varsity, but what a view of just doing games. I did a game at Keene Valley with Giant Mountain in the background, and you can't beat that. It's just amazing. And did you guys play Saranac? No, Lake Placid when you were at Scroon Lake?
Yeah, I think we played them once or twice. Not really sure. We played up there once, though.
And what's in the background on that field? Whiteface Mountain. Yeah,
everything.
You can't beat it. It's
No.
just amazing. So I've been having fun, but my mobility is probably a 2 or a 3, but it's modified, and I don't like to talk about myself, so I'm going to stop right there. So my buddy Neil, are you listening? Because he gets on me when I start talking about myself. Maybe I should talk about him. Well, I'm going to get one in on him. Logan, I was his high school basketball coach, just to let you know, a long time ago at St. John's Academy, and he was the best player in the league. He was MVP, but every once in a while he'd fool around in practice, and one day I had to throw him out of practice, because he just fooling around. But that's not like him. He just was having one of those days, so that was pretty funny. And but I told someone to go get him, and because we only had 8 players, and we're using cones, and we couldn't score against the cones. So I said, someone go get Neil, and he was just lathering up, didn't even care in the world. And I said, get out here. And Neil, are you listening? I'm sure you are. So he's going to get on me for that. Hopefully one of these days you'll meet Neil. He's a great guy. He's one of the sponsors of this show, and he's just such a nice guy. I played basketball with him. He played at RIT. Has Coach Bechtel talked to you yet? I'm wondering about that. He's
Not
the basketball
yet.
coach.
I haven't really thought too much about it.
You haven't? Oh my gosh! I don't think he knows about you. I really don't know. I don't think he knows how good of a player you are. Let me give you a for instance. I lived in Florida for a winter, and they had a 5-7. I went to I went to a FIT game, Florida Institute of Technology, Division II, excellent, and they played the number 1 ranked team in the country, and they had a 5'7" point guard that was just, he's a freshman, amazing, flat out amazing, and they won handily, and that team ended up winning the national championship. He was player of the year. His defense was, people couldn't get the ball across half court with him, but he ended up getting a Division I scholarship, and I forgot what school he's at now. But don't you believe that height is overrated? I believe that.
Yeah.
It comes down to what, Logan? It comes down to heart. And if you have a big heart like you do, especially when I saw you score 18 points in the second half, and you were just inches away of going to the Final Four, which would have been great. So, do you? I'm not putting your teammate down on this, or anyone. Do you regret not taking that little pull-up jump shot and passing it to your teammate on that, who just barely missed it? I mean, do you remember that play?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it now? Do you think you should?
I still wouldn't regret it.
I love that answer. And the kid that missed it he's a player now. He's a good player, and I'm sure he felt horrible about it too. He just didn't have the angle on it. I remember that play distinctly, and I felt so bad for him. So, yeah, you were putting on a show that game, and if there were college basketball coaches there at that game, you wouldn't be playing soccer right now, in my opinion. Although I don't know, So I hope your mom promoted this, and I hope people in Schroon Lake and Newcomb are listening to this. And how's Potsdam, the village? Do you like it there?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's quiet, so it's what I'm kind of used to, but it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the better campuses, and there's 4 colleges in the entire area.
Yeah.
Do you guys play Clarkson? Have you played them in soccer yet?
We scrimmaged them in the beginning of the year, and then our last game of the season is against them, and it's a non-league game.
Are they pretty good?
In the scrimmage we lost to them 2-1, but I feel like it was the beginning of the season, so we're not really collected and got everything down. But I feel like if we played them again, it'd be a better game.
Do you guys have a shot at the SUNYAC playoffs? I mean, are things, how's the season going so far? And even if it's not going well, it's going well. If you know what I mean, really.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are. If you're not winning, you're giving it 100 every game. But do you guys have a shot for the playoffs?
So far we only have one SUNYAC win, which was from the Canton game.
Okay.
And then we lost to Buff State 3-4.
Okay.
And that was kind of a rough one because we could have stole at least 1 point from them if we tied them.
Yep.
We lost to Oneonta 2-0, but
Oneonta's always good.
Yeah, they beat Cortland 4-0 a couple of days before we played them.
Oh man.
So we got Cortland today, and then after today, we get all of the more top of the SUNYAC playoffs. Like all those top teams are kind of out of our schedule now, and we play the mid-ladder teams. So there's places to pick up points. So it's definitely doable, but we just have to either tie or win from here on out.
What's your game plan? What's a team's game plan, without giving away the secret? If Cortland coach is listening right now, I mean, what do you guys want to do to beat them? I mean, what do you think?
They're a very direct team. They're not like what they used to be. They used to be like really technical, pass it around, kind of real soccer team. But now it's kind of direct and just hit up to the flag, and they got two really athletic wingers, and they're going to do most of the dirty work. But for us, mainly the game plan is just to hold our shape, play good defense, win the first and second balls, and then try to combine to get out of the back and get up as quick as possible.
What you need is a through ball. If they give you a through ball, finish it today, okay? I think you're going to get one. So
I hope so.
Is your mom going to the game? Any else from Newcomb or Shroon?
Yeah, they should be coming up.
Okay. Tell your parents I said hello. There's people that are rooting for you. Even all the people that watch you play basketball, they're rooting for you too. And is there a chance next summer you'd like to go and play basketball at Rucker Park next year with us? It all depends. I mean, it was a lot of fun, I can tell you. And Tom Peterson, you know Tom from Tupper Lake at all? You know him?
Think so.
Okay, he very good player. Caleb Akey, and you didn't get a chance to play against some of those guys. So there was a kid from Keene that was pretty good. He played with us. And the kid from Crown Point, he didn't end up going. Would love to have him, but the kid from Keene played very well, and he had so much fun. But I remember Tom Peterson saying, "Coach, if we," and Tom was only 5'11", he said, "If we play them best out of 7, because we lost by 29, we're going to beat them 4-2." And that's something that you would say. I love that attitude, honestly. I mean, he knew, because I made a coaching error in that. And the coaching error was we had really good shooters, and I gave those shooters the green light. And after the game, I look, and it's an NBA 3, and they were short on all their shots. And NBA 3 is pretty far.
Yeah.
So we went 0 for 14 from the three-point line, and that's why we lost. And I'll never forget Tom Peterson. I hope one day you meet him. He goes in North Country. He's a great kid. I'm not sure if he played soccer at Tupper Lake, or even that Tupper Lake had soccer. I'm not sure. But on the opening tap at Rucker Park, big crowd and everything, he's got a wide open layup off the tap, and he tries to jam it. I mean, really hard too. And he threw it down so hard it bounced up and didn't go in. And he came down. It shows you the type of kid that Tom is. He just said, "Sorry, Coach, I should have just laid it in." But the crowd loved it, though, watching him do something like that. And if he would have rammed it in there, it would have been amazing. So there was some NBA former players there, and you'll have so much fun. And have you ever been to New York City?
Yeah, I went to a Nets game a while back.
Okay.
In Brooklyn.
All right.
I've been to New York City a couple times.
Yeah, our entire team stayed in Tarrytown, which is an hour from New York City. They took the train in, and of the 10 kids we had, 7 of them had never been to New York City, and they went with their parents on the train. And they had I didn't go, but they had the most fun ever. They all said, and one of them, Leo Williams, said, "Coach, I love New York City pizza. I love it. I mean, I'm coming back just for the pizza." So, but they had a lot of fun. And the second game that we played, we only lost by 9, but that was winnable too. So we're going back, and we'll probably play 3 or 4 games this time, and I'm hoping that you'll play, and they'll be amazed by you too. So I'm not kidding you. I'm amazed by you still watching that game. I'll never forget it. So, and I can't wait to watch you play soccer. If I can ever get up there, I'm kind of busy. The story I did right before you was about my father, and it's his birthday, but he's passed away. He'd be 111. And he passed away at 92. He was World War II, and he got captured by the Germans. And very good story about him. From Brooklyn. He would never go to a Brooklyn Nets game, by the way. So he was a troublemaker. He definitely was a troublemaker, unlike his two brothers, which I mentioned earlier. So, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I got one older brother.
Okay. Soccer player?
Not really.
That's okay. You know, people find their niche, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be sports. Doesn't have to be sports at all. So, but you found your niche right now in soccer, and I got to ask you, are you a baseball fan?
I've never really played baseball or tried it.
No, but are you watching the playoffs or anything, or who you rooting for? You're not?
I'm not really.
Okay, if the Yankees lose, I'm in a bad mood, so don't ever call me if the Yankees lose. How about football?
Yeah, I'm a Bills fan.
Same here. Unfortunately, they're going to lose against the Jets. Watch and see. I hate to say that, but I have a feeling. So, what's your day planned for before the game? The game starts at what time?
It starts at 1, so I have to go in at 10:45 to watch film.
Okay.
And then after film, we kind of people either go to the trainer to get ready for the game, or a couple of people just go outside and hit balls and just kind of like mess around and get warmed up, and then we come back inside for 12 o'clock, have a team talk about what we're doing, and then we go back out and start our actual like warm up.
Any injuries that you're nursing? Any small little injuries?
Not right now, thankfully. But
Have you ever had ankle problems or hamstring in the past? You know, good.
No, thankfully. I would not ever want to deal with that.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you think. You know, you recover quickly from ankles. So, okay, I'm going to wish you luck. Every once in a while, we're going to check in with you and check in with the other local athletes around here. And I was going to do something without your approval, but I'm not going to do it. I was gonna call Coach Bechtel and say, go talk to him, but I will not do that. So, but they've already started anyway with practices. So
yeah,
he would love you. So, okay, Logan, good luck to you, and score a goal, and I hope you get a breakaway today. No red cards, okay?
I will.
Okay, you take care of yourself. Good luck.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, that's going to wrap it up for the Tom Lacey Sports Show for a week. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have a really good show next week. I'm not going to tell you what it is now. I'll know Monday or Tuesday. We have a couple really good guests, and a baseball and a football player, and it should be go pretty well. So I'll be posting on Facebook, and I want to thank everyone and for listening. And again, I thank Wiry for allowing me to talk about my father. So, all right, everyone, have a great weekend and happy Columbus Day. Take care. Bye.